We're back with another update. Again, we have two of her updates in today's video. I think my husband fathered his best friend's children, and now one of them is attracted to my daughter. I wait every single day for this update. First, a few points to answer from my comments. I don't have any DNA test results back yet. That can take weeks. But now that I know Sophie is no longer in danger of dating a relative, the pressure is off. Kinda. I'll get into this momentarily, but it frankly no longer matters if Luke fathered the children. I think it does. Next question. I highly doubt my father-in-law is having an affair with Amy. What? People thought that Luke's dad is having... At worst, he might know or even just suspect the truth about Amy and Luke, but it's also possible that he just refuses to believe they would do such a thing. I've been vague about details for privacy, but to put it very simply, Jim and Amy are both pretty white. Kat and Luke are not. Had Jim fathered Amy's babies, they would look different than they do. I never jumped to that conclusion, ever. Nevertheless, I do have an update. While a stream of comments have called me spineless and naive, called me a sister wife, as an ex-Mormon that hits a particular nerve, and most recently a stream of comments have said my story is fake. Fair enough, it's the internet, but Luke is not the first scumbag husband to have two families. She's got sass today. Several other comments have been incredibly kind and supportive, and I really appreciate that. Apologies if I haven't responded to a comment or direct message that you sent. I covered as many as I could, but I literally get hundreds, so I definitely missed several of them. First things first, I discussed this in the comments, but our little team has supposedly recruited my mother-in-law. I say supposedly because Sophie and Tom were going to talk to her about getting help with submitting the DNA test, and at the advice of my lawyer, I am staying out of the process. Officially, I told Sophie not to do it, but she said she wouldn't. Mother-in-law hasn't contacted me about it either. Though we have been in touch, I'll get into that more in a moment. The bottom line is that I can honestly say I had no knowledge of any DNA test loophole city. Another bit of good news. Oh my god, I never thought we'd hear good news in this story. I was digging through the paperwork in preparation for my divorce, wanting to get a head start against Luke, and one thing that came to my attention is that my name is on the paperwork for our home. Luke's name is not. I was the one who bought the house, and we always planned to add Luke onto the paperwork at some point, but we never got around to it, and eventually the idea was forgotten. It was my lawyer, Paige, who pointed this out to me, and it was like finding a winning lottery ticket on the ground. I don't know where I'd be without Paige. She's a dear friend from college who I reached out to, hat in hand, for help. She's been there for me this past week, not just as a legal counsel, but as a friend I really needed right now. Girl, we are all your friend over here, okay? The thing is, she's not our lawyer, meaning me and Luke. We have our own family attorney who has helped us out in jams in the past. We clashed with our HOA a few years ago, not worth getting into right now. We don't care, we want the tea. But Paige is a lawyer who specializes in family law and has handled divorces before. Luke remembers her from college and knows she went into law, but does not know that she is a divorce attorney. So I can have her over for coffee like we're catching up, and he has no idea what's going on. I like it. Turns out he's not the only one who can harbor someone under his spouse's nose under the guise of being a friend. She is coming in hot. So, on to the update. I thought that was the update. The last time I looked in Luke's phone was 3 months ago, around the point Sophia and Tom began to go around claiming they wanted to date. I found nothing. While I know how to search for recently deleted photos and didn't see any, my comments taught me how to find recently deleted messages. Don't we love the internet? So, when Luke was asleep, I did just that. Oh, I'm so scared. Swiped his phone and brought it downstairs, checked recently deleted. I am glad I did, but I also wish I did not, because I'm still reeling from the pain. Sure enough, this is it. A conversation with Amy had been deleted. Recent text talking about the conflict between her and me, and Amy describing me as problem, and Luke trying to pacify her without defending me at all, to be clear. They both alluded to how they had expected this for a while and just hoped that it would never happen, presumably me accusing them of having an affair. While the whole conversation and the fact that it was deleted was sketchy, nothing was actually admitted. I'm waiting for some nudes, okay? So I scrolled a bit higher to a few days before the fight. Amy's messages got a bit more flirty. Then I saw it. 5 days before I confronted them, Amy had sent Luke a top a topless pic, a selfie with no shirt or bra. Boobies. Bare boobies. I knew it. I knew it. I'm not even celebrating this. I'm heartbroken for this woman. I'm just happy the truth is coming out. Guys, I teared up. I knew it was true. I knew it in my bones. Oh, she must be so sad. But seeing the proof still cut me like a hot... First of all, Amy, how have I not said that yet? Trying to guilt trip you for accusing me? How dare you accuse me of that? Yourself. Doesn't help that Amy's always had bigger breasts than me. Ugh, who cares? Luke sucks. I exited the messages app and checked Luke's recently deleted photos. Sure enough, the same selfie was there, and others. Amy topless, Amy naked, Amy in various poses to show off. There were pictures of the two of them together, cuddled and pressed close like a couple. In some of these, she was naked. In some, they both were. There were videos. Amy sent Luke a video message of herself topless, and I had to actually hear her voice talking to him in a tone that made me sick about how she was sending him a quick video to help him get through the day. In more than one video, she called him her boo, and hearing her call him that, I almost vomited. Stopped looking at that point. I'd seen enough. For about 5 minutes anyway. Then a strange compulsion to keep searching led me to check Luke's laptop. How is there more? I knew enough of the passcodes to access his iCloud storage, and yeah, basically more of the same. I need a sip of this tea. My throat hurts. My heart hurts. Cheers. I hope you're having a good day. There were letters, long letters between them. I didn't have the heart to read past the first few lines of one of them, but I did read Luke mention our children. Say it ain't so. Say it ain't so. No, they're all Luke's. There were countless naked/topless selfies of Amy, selfies of them together, videos where Amy appeared to be pleasuring herself. I don't know if I can say the word. There were sex tapes of the two of them. Tom had previously offered to try and hide a camera in Amy's room, but he never needed to. Luke was hiding a whole treasure trove under my nose all along. I scrolled and scrolled and scrolled. There were so many, going back years. Not all of it even was sexual. There were some photos of Amy kids too. One was of Kaylee and the twins playing together when they were younger, and Luke and Amy's voices from behind the camera. There were even old pictures of Luke and Amy from when they were younger. I'd even say teenagers. This is insane. I snapped. All these years I'd been telling myself I had to be wrong, that it couldn't be true. Well, it was true. I know that no one forced me to look at as much of the evidence as I did, but I'm still hurting very badly from having seen it in that moment. I would have done the same thing. I wanted to act, so I did. I called my lawyer, who is a remarkable woman. It was in the middle of the night, so I had to call her twice, and she picked up. Though I had woken her when I asked her to come by and said it was an emergency, she agreed. I also asked her to drop the paperwork and have it ready. She told me that she already had it ready since I first reached out to her. She knew. As I waited for her, I went through the necessary channels on Luke's laptop to make sure he wouldn't be able to remotely disconnect our access to his little stash, changing passwords and all that. My lawyer, Paige, arrived, and I went outside to greet her in the car, spent a good half hour in the passenger seat just crying. Oh. And she was great about that before I passed her Luke's phone and his laptop with all the information she needed to use them for. She warned me that this could be considered theft, so I asked her to forward and print out copies of everything she could and then bring the items back because I couldn't bear it to do it myself. I'll do it for you. No problem. I would literally pay the shipping costs to do that for you. She agreed. I went back inside and then I packed up Luke's things while the house slept. At one point, Owen got up to use the bathroom and asked me what I was doing, but I told him I was just cleaning. Luke stirred once or twice while I was in the bedroom, but did not wake. I got all of his things packed into trash bags and I loaded up the car. That's when I woke him up and told him to come outside. He was confused and half asleep, but he did notice things were missing. Good. I ignored his questions and just told him to come with me, so he followed me outside. It's go time, baby. Once we were by the car, I pulled out the divorce papers and officially handed them to him. That was about when he figured out what I was doing, and he tried to talk me out of it. Tried to be sweet with me, to be tender. He kept insisting that he loved me and there had never been anything with Amy. Kept trying to persuade me not to tear our family apart. Oh, classic. Classic, don't tear. You wanna know what's tearing our family apart? The fact that you're another woman and also fathered other children. Even 2 weeks ago, I might have wilted under him because the manipulation and gaslighting were truly masterclass. But I can see through it now. I didn't tell him that I knew he was full of crap. I didn't tell him that I had seen everything. I just told him we were finished. He tried a different approach. He refused to go. Stated firmly that our children were his too, that even if we were separating, I had no right to just decide the kids would stay with me over him. That is where I coldly presented the paperwork, reminding him that the house is in my name, and told him under no circumstances would my kids be staying with Amy. He argued a little while longer, but in the end he decided to be the bigger person and keep the peace. Vomit. At the time, I didn't care where he went. Before he left, he did ask about his phone and laptop, and I waved him off by saying they were in one of the bags. Bought a little time. Genius move. I would have panicked. I couldn't sleep for the rest of the night. I cried more. This is so... I'm like probably being very happy, but I'm not. This is so sad. Eventually, I realized I'd have to wake my children up early and explain to the extent that I could. Naturally, I woke Sophie first. I told her that I kicked her father out and that I discovered evidence of an affair on his devices. I did not specify what kind of evidence, and she did not ask. I woke up the others and gently told them that their dad had gone to stay somewhere else for a while. That I wasn't sure where, but from now on, things were going to be different. Louise was the one to ask if we were getting divorced, and I couldn't lie to her, so I told her yes. Owen asked when they could see their father again, and I wanted to cry. Sophie was a very big help, urging her siblings to be sympathetic to me right now and worry about dad later. I knew better than to poison them against her father. Paige warned me against doing that as well, so I only told Sophie that the affair was confirmed since she had already been in the know. Yeah, seeing as they heard the affair, literally heard those videos happening. So, however, as the kids were getting ready for school, Owen approached me and asked me point blank if it was about Amy. If Luke was going to be with her instead of me. I couldn't answer, but I suppose that's an answer on its own. Got the kids to school, and my next step was calling to have the locks changed. I knew Luke would be back for his devices before long, but thankfully Paige returned them to me before he showed up again. It was a very quick visit. She just told me that was all accomplished and that she had records of everything we would need in court. Sure enough, Luke turned up an hour later demanding to know where his laptop and phone were. I had to set them back in our bedroom like they had never been moved. Genius. And I just told him he had forgotten them. He insisted that I had said they were in one of the bags, so I shrugged him off and told him I must have been mistaken. Oh my god, I would put on an Oscar-worthy performance, okay? After he grabbed them, he tried again to reason with me, but I just showed him the door. I knew the kids would start to come home from school before long, and I think he was trying to delay leaving so he could see them. I was not having it. I started shouting again and sent him on his way. I'm still just an absolute pain and despair from what I saw. Yeah, traumatizing. I don't know if he'll realize that anyone went through his devices and made copies of the evidence, or if he suspects I saw anything, but he obviously didn't say so. After he left, I cried once again. Talked to my mother-in-law that night. Apparently Luke did show up to his parents' house, which was a surprise, as I was so certain he would be staying with Amy. But maybe he even knows how suspicious that would look to the children and doesn't want to rock the boat as much as he can. Maybe he knows I'm more likely to let my children see their grandmother than Amy at this point, and he wants to see them to give his version of events. That is not happening. Kat already shared his version with me that he relayed to her and Jim, that I'm having some kind of mental breakdown, that he wishes he could help me, but my paranoia is causing me to lash out and turn violent. I was never violent. I shoved him away when he tried to hold me, that is all. And what's so hilarious is that he didn't mention Amy at all to his parents. He didn't even frame it as me falsely believing that he was having an affair. Even though that's his story when talking to me, he left Amy out when he's talking to his parents. Kat noticed that. She believes me. Jim doesn't know what to believe anymore. According to Kat, he seemed very, very troubled by what he heard from all sides. The classic, oh, she's having a mental breakdown. She's crazy. I would never do that. Until you pull out the proof. As for Amy, she's radio silent. Oh, I want to hear from Amy. I want to hear from Amy. Tom has told Sophie that she's acting like nothing is wrong, but is clearly stressed. That's when her children ask, and she makes the same sort of claims. That I'm having some kind of emotional, nervous breakdown and pushing her away, as well as Luke. She doesn't mention anything about my accusing them of having an affair, but still puts it all on me. Amy has not reached out to talk to me directly, and I have not tried talking to her since our big argument. I haven't really told my kids anything, just that I'm having disagreements with Luke and Amy, though I was very clear that it is not a question of my mental health. Honestly, I think they all kind of know what's going on. Sophie continues to be my rock, as I tried to be for her and for the others, and Tom continues to be our spy in the ranks. Right now, my biggest regret is the stress that all of this is causing on the children, which I knew it would, but it still needed to be done. My life has fallen apart, but it was never my life. And that's the end of the first update of this video, but we're about to hop into the next one. I hate that. It has never been my life. You have never just had Luke and your children. He had a completely other family on the side. How do you heal from that? We're moving on to the next update. In my last post, there were a number of criticisms towards Paige. You guys will like this update, as it turns out you weren't the only ones who had a problem with her. Oh, wait a second, the lawyer? As far as the deed being in my name, it's not an absolute hook, line, and sinker, but Paige is convinced that between that and my having been the one paying the mortgage, I stand a very good chance. It could be interpreted as a common marital property, but I'm going for primary custody with supervised visits anyway. I'm playing hardball. People also questioned whether I should be posting these, but so long as it's not anonymous, I am in the clear. Doesn't even matter if someone who knows me could figure out that I posted this. I didn't use any real names or my real location or anything like that. As for the laptop, even Paige admitted that was questionable, but technically I gave permission and she was only doing what I could have easily done on my own. I just really didn't want to go through all of that content. As far as the divorce papers, Paige had them filled out after the first time I had contacted her. My serving them to Luke was ceremonial. She still contacted him later to officially serve him and request his lawyer's details. Thank you for clarifying. But before he could respond, I had already done something a little sneaky. I reached out to our family attorney, the one who has always been on call to represent me and Luke during our marriage. I'll call him Zach. Now, contrary to some of the comment suggestions, I cannot just go around consulting with every lawyer in the area with the explicit purpose of locking my husband out of hiring them. That is in bad faith, and judges don't look too kindly on it. However, this was Zach. He had been my attorney and Luke's for years. I feel like I had just as much right to him as Luke did, and I got there first. So I was able to nail down our family's lawyer. Met with both him and Paige, and boy howdy, do they not like each other. What? Zach brought up some of the same problems as some of my comments. He argued that Paige's activity was in the gray area and urged me to hire him to represent me in the divorce instead. That was questionable. That caused a bit of conflict, as Paige is explicitly a family attorney and this is her specialization. So I'm going to be consulting both of them from here on out. Zach actually thinks it's good that I made these posts, as they can't really do much other than prove my sanity when Luke and Amy try to argue otherwise. True, because the first one was just your suspicions. That was like, hey, should I confront them or not? Overall, I am doing better. I've been talking to a friend in real life, the mom of one of Sophie's friends. I also have therapy scheduled for myself, and I intend to look into family therapy as well. Good call. I think that is needed. I think it's slowly sinking in for poor Jim that what he didn't want to believe was possible is very much possible, and it's happening. I haven't shown him or Kat any letters or anything. They're hosting Luke, so I haven't had any much contact with them at all, but I did have one phone call with Kat where we wished each other well. That was nice. In the background, I could hear shouting, and though Kat quickly went outside, I did hear what sounded like Jim shouting at Luke. He doesn't usually shout. He's the calmest man I've ever met. So in a way, I'm worried about him, but also relieved that the wool is being pulled off his eyes. According to Kat, Luke is still very much denying everything. He was pretty upset upset when he found out that I had poached Zach though, which gave me a kind of grim satisfaction. I didn't even think about the fact that Luke has also been lying to his family and friends and has also technically like hidden grandchildren from them. Like they've been around and stuff, but if they knew they were grandparents to them, that would probably be very different. The test results came back. I feel like Maury right now. Sophie and Tom tested their DNA against each other to see if they truly are blood siblings. Here's a surprise. According to the test, they're not. Okay? They don't share any DNA. To everyone who believed Jim had fathered Amy's babies, here's definitive proof that he did not, because the test would have revealed that too. But I never believed it anyway. Sophie has her doubts and wonders if the results were faulty and if we shouldn't take another test to be absolutely certain, but I'm not really worried about that. More confusing than anything. I was so certain Tom had been Luke's son. He was too. Now he doesn't know what to think and I don't either. Okay, I thought they were children, but I guess it was just not DNA proved. Now he doesn't know what to think and I don't either. I obviously know that the affair happened and lasted years, and I know from the letters that Kaylee is Luke's child, or at least both he and Amy seem to believe she is, which confirms they were intimate 15 years ago. Now I'm just wondering, for Tom's sake, who, if not Luke, is his father? He does kind of look like Luke, but that might just be a coincidence. In general, everything was quiet for a few days until it wasn't. Until she finally showed her face. My best friend, Amy. Let's hear from her. I am so happy I installed Ring cameras everywhere, as you are about to understand. Sure enough, Amy turned up on my doorstep and asked to talk. She had a relaxed demeanor and did not raise her voice. Assuming she was approaching me on Luke's behalf, I told her I wasn't interested in talking to her and to just go away. She did not leave, but she didn't make a scene either. She persisted in telling me we needed to have a conversation. The kids weren't home and I did have cameras inside. I was also recording her on my phone and being very discreet about it. So eventually I relented and let her in. I don't know if she realized that she was on camera. We sat down on the couch and she instantly got into the reason for her visit. Yeah, we know the reason. Thank you, Amy. Turns out she and Luke know or suspect that I procured damning material from his laptop. Amy accused me of going through his devices and told me that anything I found was not my business and that I needed to delete it. That was all she had to say. No apology, no admission of guilt, didn't take responsibility for her behavior. Hell, she might have known I was recording her because she didn't even directly acknowledge what the sensitive material on Luke's laptop actually was. Well, that's in case you didn't know, you know? She's trying to be like, what do you know? Before I admit to what you may or may not know. So I confronted her, letting out some anger. I asked how she could have the nerve to make demands of me. I asked her why she and Luke would do a thing like this in the first place, why they had seen fit to spend all these years betraying me. I posed the question that I've been wondering adults for a long time, and as I expected, I got no answer. Literally, Amy didn't seem to really hear me even when I confronted her. She seemed like she was stressed, panicked even, but she was keeping it under wraps. She ignored my questions and accusations and just kept telling me to delete whatever content from Luke's laptop that I had. Of course, that's her only concern. She's naked. She said that if I wanted to divorce Luke, that was my call, but not to drag her. Oh, please. Not to drag her into it. I surely did not drag you into my marriage. Oh, see, bless you, because I would throw down. It'd be WWE in that living room. I swear to God, I think I'd lose my mind. Oh, that made me so mad. I kept my temper, but I did snap back that she was already very much in it. Amy just kept repeating herself, telling me to delete whatever I found, so I refused. I asked her point blank why I should. Why did I have any reason to? Amy got more aggressive, raising her voice. She was trying to intimidate me, but I held my ground. She told me that this wasn't about me and that I just needed to do as she said, that it was very important. So I asked again, why? And yet again, she would not answer. So I asked her if Luke had sent her to do this or if she'd shown up on her own. No answer to that either. It was like talking to a brick wall. So I asked her to leave. Just as I'd been afraid of, she wouldn't go. She refused to leave until I had deleted everything I'd found in front of her. I couldn't help laughing. I told her no, that wasn't going to happen. This is where I could see her starting to freak out more. In another moment, she got up, ran into the other room, and grabbed my laptop. Before I could stop her, she smashed it on the floor. You break my heart, you break my family, and now you break my laptop. I'm very angry for her. I really don't know why she thought that would work or even give the outcome she wanted. I think she was just panicking. Obviously, I still have everything, except now I need to buy a new laptop. No, she can pay for that. And sadly, her doing this was out of frame of camera, but it's fine. All of my important files are backed up, and at the moment, I was more concerned that Amy would do something else drastic. She looked like she was going to have a breakdown. I tried again, very calmly, to tell her that she needed to leave or I would call the police. She refused again and just kept repeating her demand that I drop the whole cheating angle and divorce Luke without trying to argue that an affair took place. Like, give it up, Amy. At that point, I just stared at her, at the woman I had considered one of my dearest friends in the whole world. And I told her that I didn't owe her anything, but she owed her children the truth. That they had the right to know where they came from, who Luke really was to them. Amy bristled and told me it was none of my business, that I didn't understand her family, and that I needed to back off. She kept going back to this idea that I could divorce Luke, but I must not claim he had an affair with her. In what world, Amy? She got more and more desperate, and her anger accelerated to the point that she physically attacked me. I'm seeing red at this point. I'm telling you that right now. I did not expect her to actually do this. I'm not much a fighter, but I do know the human body pretty well and where it's weakest. Girl, this is wild. She hurt me pretty badly, but I got her off me. That part was very much on camera and the whole audio was recorded on my phone. She finally left after that and I immediately called to file a police report. Guys, like, you would have to call the police on me. Okay, take me to jail. I am not as strong as a woman, okay, with controlling my temper. Okay, I had the strangest feeling she tried something similar and wanted to beat her to the punch. I was able to clean myself up by the time I had to face my kids, and while I downplayed the story, I did not lie to them about why I had a black eye. Oh my God, she really attacked you. A black eye? Oh my gosh, here I'm thinking it's like a little, a little hair pull. I told them for their own safety to steer clear of Amy. I also sent the footage to Paige and Zach, as well as pictures of my injured state before I cleaned up. They've also printed out the letters that references Kaylee as Luke's child. I need to know how many kids are Luke's child. Like, come on. I really feel like Amy just screwed herself over on all this. I don't know what her motives were. Was she protecting Luke? Was this his idea? Does she really just not want the world to know she's a homewrecker? Is she covering her own ass? As if people didn't know already. The more of my social circle I talk to and inform of the basics, the more people confess that they had wondered in the past if Luke was cheating on me, but didn't have any concrete proof. I suppose Amy doesn't want her kids to know who fathered them, which does line up, but I'm still not sure about Tom. I didn't ask Amy about him in particular. I don't know why you guys are so eager for these updates, but I don't mind posting them. I've never blogged about my life before. I'd imagine it feels something like this. When I tell you, I am so thankful for you posting these updates, and I feel bad finding it entertaining, but you did post it on a public forum, and just know we are rooting for you. Anytime you're feeling bad about this, check my comments, okay? We are rallying behind you through all of this, all right? I will have the next few updates coming. I think there's 2 more updates, which we will put in the final, because I want all the tea, okay? Until the next update, stay classy out there, stay sassy, and I'll see you next time.